Hello and welcome back to NorCal 715. Look what I have today. This is a vintage Pioneer SX9000 receiver. Now the customer complained about that he doesn't get any audio out of this thing, even with the auxiliary inputs, which is mainly what he uses it for. So look at how this thing is built. I mean, individual circuit boards, point-to-point wiring. It's all wrapped and soldered on these terminals. A rectifier board, filter capacitors for the main output for the power supplies. So I'm suspecting that this unit has a power supply issue right now, just because the AM doesn't work, the FM doesn't work, and so I'm thinking we lost a power supply here somewhere. So I'm going to pull up a print. I'll print it out of the power supply and we'll measure some voltages over here and see if we have what we need to make this unit work. So I printed out some schematics. So here's the control amp unit, the power supply unit, the main amp, the power amp, and this is an overall diagram of the complete unit. So I'm interested in the power supply unit right here, W16O28, which is this unit right here. So I'll make some measurements on this board and see what we come up with. All right, so let's make some measurements. Let's look at D1 and see if we have the supply voltage. D1 and then B1. So here's D1. According to this, we should have 90 volts. We have 96. So let's look at B1 and see if we have 86. There's B1. And we have 92. It's a little bit high. Let's look at D2, which is the input to this transistor right here. 92. So let's look at the output here, B2. Oh, 1.1 volts on B2, 0.9 volts on B3. That's a problem. So, does anything control this? No, that's earth. E1 and E2 are both earth, so ground. So just for the heck of it, let's look at B4, B5, and B6. There's B4, 39 volts, they claim 32. B5, 27 volts, they claim 22, we're a little bit high. B6 claims 12.5, and I only see 0.5 volts. So that would be because this transistor is not turning on. It's not going to have voltage across this 3.9K resistor to turn on the base of this transistor. So I'm thinking we have a problem here. Let's look at Q2 and find out why we're not turning on. So I have the schematic or the board layout printed out here. And so I'm looking at Q2, which is this transistor in the schematic, Q2. And so I want to look at the collector, base, and emitter voltages. And so if I look at the collector and I have voltage and I see a voltage on the base, but I don't see anything on the emitter, then I know the transistor is bad. So the numbers they have are pretty close here. So 55, 40 on the base. There's normally about a 6 to 7 tenths of a volt drop across the base to emitter junction. So if you supply the base with 40, you should have theoretically 39.3 or 39.4 volts on the emitter. They're showing 40 and 40. There should be a differential there, but that's neither here nor there. So I've got the board tilted up here where I can get to the bottom of it. I'm going to power the unit up and measure the collector, the base, and the emitter. Now if I see more than 7 tenths to 1 volt drop between the base and the emitter, then I know for sure the transistor is bad, because that cannot exist. There has to be a 7 tenths of a volt drop between the base and the emitter. So this is the collector, 89, 90 volts. This is the base, 92, and this is the emitter, 0.5. So I've got 92 volts between the base and the emitter. So without a shadow of a doubt, with my collector at 94 now, my base at 93, I should have about 92 volts here, and I have 0.7 volts. So the base to emitter junction is definitely bad on this transistor. So I'm going to look up the specs on a 2SC485, and I'll probably end up replacing it with a more modern TO220 type power pack transistor. So I'm going to go ahead and unsolder this transistor from the board, which is a little bit harder to do because they laid the leads down. So I've got to heat it up and stand up the lead if I can. This one's got a fair amount of corrosion on it. Let's put it in the MK168 transistor tester. And we'll go test. And it only tests as a diode between pin 1 and 2, which is the collector and the base. So between 2 and 3, it does not test anything. So definitely the junction on this guy is bad. So this is the collector, the base, and the emitter. So I'm going to try to find a suitable replacement for that. So I looked up the original transistor. It has a gain of 30. I found an exact replacement with a gain of 30. So we'll go ahead and put that one in. This one is a 2SD1796. And the configuration is base, collector, emitter. So we'll see how the holes go on here. So we're going to have to go... Just going to have to go base, collector, and emitter. Just like that. So we'll go ahead and bend those pins and get them straightened out so they'll go in the holes. So okay, I got the leads bent out. So go ahead and fold them over just a little bit to keep it from falling out. And we'll solder it in place. There we go, soldered in. Let's trim the leads down. So we'll just leave the board standing up here. Go ahead and power it up and see what we end up with. So emitter, 39 volts. We definitely got audio. Base 40. Collector is 68. So we should see about 7/10 of a volt. So 40.3. So we should have 39.7. Yeah, we got 39.4. It's pretty close. We definitely got the radio working now.
She'll be on the show tonight, too.
So let's see if FM works. Oh yeah. So let's get that board mounted back down here. I'm going to let it run for a few minutes, and then we'll look at the temperature of the transistor with the thermal camera and make sure it's okay. Alright, so it's been up and playing now for about 20 minutes, and there's a big power resistor on this board, and it's definitely dissipating some heat. It's 220 degrees approximately. So I put a piece of tape on the side of the heatsink so it will have a higher emissivity level. And it's running 143 degrees Fahrenheit. So I added that little heatsink, that aluminum fin heatsink to it. So about 150. So I think we're going to be okay. Well, there it is, all running. The Pioneer SX9000 receiver. Just look at this workmanship, the craftsmanship they put into this thing years ago. I mean, look at that, dual tuning capacitors for AM and FM. Big power transformer. Good sized heat sinks over here under the covers. It's got a reverb in here. Separate AM and FM tuner boards. If this video has helped you, please consider making a donation on my YouTube homepage with the PayPal donate button or at paypal.me/ NorCal 715. Remember, with your help, we can keep these things out of the landfill and out of the recycle bin. Everybody have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.